Hello doctors! I was hoping I could avoid the dreaded color conversation because it is complicated, but since we're going back and forth a little bit on the colors, I think it's a good idea for me to try to explain it. Normally I would do this in person. I would have all my little props. We're going to try to do this on video and see how it works. Some of the colors obviously aren't going to read as well on camera as they would if I were handing things out in person. But we're going to give this a shot and see if this kind of gives you a baseline understanding of the color, the complexities, let's just say, that go on with a color selection in logo or really any graphic design. So first thing I wanted to talk about was 2-color versus 4-color. The swatch book that I dropped off today, you notice it'll say on the front of it, it says process guide. That is a fancy word for 4 or full color. There are a couple different ways you can print. You can print 2-color, you can print 4-color. When you print, back in the old days, and by old days I mean like 5 years ago, we would often print letterhead on 2-color because it was cheaper than 4-color like folders or brochures would be. That isn't the case anymore. Now there are all these discount printers out there that they don't even run 2-color process. They just run everything using 4-color. The reason that matters is the formula that they use to figure out what inks to mix for 2-color is different than when they are mixing it for 4-color. Literally, we have different books. So we would be picking a different number for the green or for the tangerine if we were doing a 2-color process than if we were doing a 4-color process. And then there are even conversions, and it's not an exact science. So I wanted to tell you that because the vibrancy of the colors that's available in the process or 4-color spectrum is not as great as the vibrancy that's available in the 2 colors. So I think one of the challenges that we're having is we're trying to get this yummy kind of tangerine color or an olive green that's not too army green. Some of that is the limitations of working with the 4-color process instead of 2-color. Now, even if you were to use 2-color process for your logo design, say we were going to print your letterhead and that, at some point it would have to be converted to 4-color anyhow, because if you did a brochure and it had photos in it, for example, you would need to do 4-color. So our default mechanism today as designers is we design using the 4-color process. Back in the old days it was the opposite, but like I said, that was just 5 years ago. We're trying to keep up. As if that isn't weird and crazy enough, you also have books, color books for process colors that are coded and for process colors that are not coded. And I'm going to try to explain that. Letterhead, stationery, most of the time is not shiny, not coated, uncoated we call it. So you see how kind of dull these colors are when we compare it to his business card. And these are the same colors, but you can tell the vibrancy of the purples and the reds is a lot different. The only difference is his business card is a shiny stock, or what we call coated. His letterhead is not coated. Does that make sense? This is another example that I held up a minute ago. You see the blues and browns of their logo here, and then when you see it on their folder, this is non-coated, this is coated. There's a difference in the intensity of the colors. Most of the stuff that you all will have printed will probably be coated. Brochures, folders. Usually we even do business cards coated, or a lot of times we won't do the backs of them coated though, because you can't write on coated paper. That's why we don't do letterhead coated. Believe me, I wish we could, because then everything would match perfectly, but unfortunately that isn't the way it is. The book I dropped off to show you guys was uncoated colors for letterhead. So really you're seeing the most unflattering version of your colors. I didn't bring you, for example, this fourth one down is the 18-4 tangerine color that I think is used in about 4 of the concepts that we sent you. This is a coated version of it, so you can see it's a little bit brighter, a little bit sharper, a little bit snappier, a little bit orangier than the uncoated version. So I want to try to explain all that to you. And then, last but not least, you have the difference between your printed pieces and the internet. And as you guys have already learned, because you've looked at these on your monitor at work, maybe you've looked at them on your monitor at home, you've seen printouts, the colors are never going to match 100% across the board. Everybody's monitor settings are different, the way it reads are different. So as long as we're going for, let's say it's a spring green, as long as it reads spring green kind of to most of us most of the time, or if it's an olivey green or a mossy green most of the time, then that's really about as good as it can get when we're talking about translating it to web values. So that's the the story I was hoping to have to avoid telling you, and hopefully that wasn't too much information. But I want you guys to take a look at the new color versions we sent you. Tell me what you think, see if there's one that you all can agree on that you like, knowing that it's never going to read 100% that way. Even if you like the swatches I sent you today, it's going to look different when we get it in a shiny format versus the uncoated format. And if you have any questions, just give me a call. Thanks.